prayer made a difference when that knock on the door happened. And one of the things that God showed me is that when after I was kind of like feeling depressed and feeling like I can't do this no more, I had done the school run and I was upset. And I heard the Spirit, which I believe God said to me, Nathan, can these dry bones live again? And I was like, huh? And I heard the Spirit of the Lord say to me, Nathan, prophesy. And I can't explain it, but something came over me. And, as I was in the car, I started to declare and decree. And I started to have an open vision of Christ on the boat and how Christ stood up and started to rebuke the winds and the waves, and they were still. And I started to just get radical in that car, and I started to declare, and I started to decree. And I said, Lord, I declare in my life that debt will be cancelled. I declare in my life, Lord, that finance is going to come to me easily and effortlessly. Finances will come from the north, the east, the south, and the west. I declare that I am the head, and literally went on. If anyone knows how Pentecostals do church, I was going on radical, naughty in the car. And all I can say to you, yeah, we're going to show you some of the practical things that manifested. But God started to turn it around. Contracts started to come. God gave us new visions and new ideas. And one of the things that we did in that time was the jar system. So you want to quickly start explaining this?
Right, so, and it was literally jars, but not these jars. So I used little baby food jars at the time. But we had to divide up every penny, every single income that came into our home into jars. And I'll explain the jars. So we had one jar with faith. We believe by faith that we give. So 10% was for tithing. So we gave 10% of all our income. And we had to physically have the cash and put it in the jar. Then we have 10% for investment. The same. You take every penny out and you put your 10% or whatever into the jar. We had 5% for leisure because we still needed to have a little bit of fun. We still need to smile. We've got children. They still need to go places. And then we had another 5% for saving to spend, so something a bit further down the line. So it might have been we need a washing machine or, I don't know, we still need a dishwasher. But yeah, so that would go in the jar. And then 70% was for bills. That's how we'd live.
So let me give you a little reel of this because
yeah.
we will literally physically take out all the cash that we earned every month, and then by the percentage,
divide it up.
Put the cash in the jars, yeah? First jar was tithe. Yes, Lord, we love you. 10% for investment. And then the rest.
Right.
But this is what really happened in real life. Sometimes the 70%, right, of the money would run out. Like there would not enough money for the bills. And we've had situations where, you remember when the sky bill bounced? Yeah. And say like another small one would bounce. What we would do we would at the time Sabrina was baking, so we'd send out loads of messages and say, come and buy some cupcakes, some chocolate concrete.
Side hustle.
And we'll make up the money within 3 days.
And put it in the jar.
And put it in the jar, or put it back, but the jars are now bank accounts.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because sometimes there'll be money in the saving,
there was
money in the
always
leisure.
Money in everywhere apart from the tithe because you have to give that. You got to give it.
Yeah.
Don't just put it in the jar and leave it there.
So we literally would make payments bounce out of being so disciplined. I know that sounds crazy to some people, even though in the investment jar there's money. I remember one time the saving account had like $2,000 in there when we was just starting to build up. And we made direct debits bounce.
On the principle that you're not going to go back round in circles. You're not going to rob Peter to pay Paul. You're going to have to find the money. Also taught us how to budget.